Recording in progress.
That was a very good, Dave.
That was a good one. It's a keeper. Cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Smashed it.
That's all we have to say about it.
Yep. Okay, so it's November, and we've decided for November, continuing with let's have some theme chats. And this month we are going through our favorite scary stuff from our childhoods. So scary stuff designed for children.
Designed for kids. And that designed word is key, Karen, but it will become apparent in a few weeks' time as to why designed for children is being emphasized now. But yeah, so I think about, I used to, there's horror that's designed for children, like scary children stuff. So it's our favorite scary children stuff, or even stuff is designed for children that scared us as children. Yes. Yeah. So I went first.
Children.
Yeah. And you picked a fun 80s film. When is it, 86? Is that right?
That sounds about right. Yeah, so it's Mr. Boogedy. And so Mr. Boogedy, I don't remember when I felt like I've been watching this since I was very, very, I guess I was only born in 87. So I could be watching it from in utero, but I don't think that's true. So we had it on a recorded VHS that lived at Nonna and Nonna's house. So whenever we'd go to Murray Bridge to visit Nonna and Nonna, we'd interact with the grandparents for a bit, and then the adults would talk, and me and Seb would go to the lounge room. They had a few toys and a few books, but then they had all of our record that Nonna had recorded for us, all of our recorded VHSs. And Mr. Boogedy was one of the movies, and we watched it non-fucking stop. And all I can say is I don't even care what you guys think. It's a masterpiece. Having rewatched it, it is still fucking sensational. The thing that makes me sad that you won't be able to experience, and I couldn't this time as well, is that it was recorded off old commercial television. So it was also full of late 80s, early 90s, Australian commercials. And I even tried to find some, because I'm just going to link them to you and be I remember this one, but I couldn't find a lot of them. There is one that I can send to you later, which was for Goulburn Valley fruit. And there's a little boy and he goes, Goulburn Valley, the best tasting fruit in the can. He just, this poor kid can't speak. And and to the point where I'm pretty sure Seb used to rewind it. And we used to watch this poor child not be good at this ad. But anyway, yeah, Mr. Boogedy, perfect 43 minutes, Karen.
I know. Minutes. Yeah, that was bold. I enjoyed that.
Perfect film.
Yeah. No, I was very pleased. But yeah, this is one that I hadn't heard of at all. Maybe it didn't make its way to Scotland. But you grew up in the States, did you?
I was not familiar with this either. The Disney Channel was not a channel I had access to.
No, and I genuinely don't think I've ever met a single other person who has ever seen this movie or even heard of it. It's clearly very obscure child horror.
It actually, so I was surprised that it had some actors that I recognized in it. So Richard Masur, who we've talked about, who portrays Clark in The Thing. He was also in the 90s It miniseries, apparently. Yeah, he was. And the wife, Eloise Davis, she's Mimi Kennedy, who's from In the Loop.
Yes. Yeah, so we spent the first wee while when we started watching it going, I know her.
Then,
where's she from?
The daughter is, I always forget her name, Christy Swanson or whatever. She was the original Buffy the Vampire Slayer in the movie. And then even the creepy old realtor.
Neil Witherspoon.
Yeah.
You said he was Gomez.
Yeah, so he's an actor called John Astin, who was the original Gomez in the Addams Family. And he's amazing.
Oh, he's wonderful. He just is having the best time. He is having the best time.
I feel they're all really having that time of their lives. But then the two boys, I feel they did not go on to do anything of note.
Well, see, it's weird. I maybe not, but I reckon there was something about the littlest boy that I recognized.
Familiar, but I could be wrong, but I remember looking them up and being nah, I don't reckon they did anything else I ever saw.
Oh, one of them was Bud Bundy on Married with Children, which was a fairly big...
shit, that is true. Yeah, I'm a liar. Yeah.
Yeah, one of them did that, and one of them...
That's the one that played R.E.
One of them was on ALF, which was also a reasonably big sitcom for a time in the 80s.
But yeah, it's
no longer... He's no longer acting.
No.
Stellar cast, obscure little movie. But yeah, as I said, I remembered. That was the other thing. So the widow Marion, she has had a ongoing role on Days of Our Lives for 30 fucking years.
Yeah,
she's
right.
quite famous in it. Yeah, so it's just anyway, but I watched it and it was everything I remembered it being, and I loved it, and I loved every second of it, and it was a masterpiece. And I almost watched it again straight after I watched it.
I love.
You know what? Don't do it.
I liked it had a real deadpan humor to it. That's quite unusual for American stuff, but also American stuff of that time. I feel like it was really had a real nice deadpan humor to it, like when he's shooting the kids with the balls and it goes on for just a little bit too long. And even just Witherspoon, he just kind of makes a lot of faces and then just gets on with it, and it's hilarious.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the story, I guess, should we start with the story?
Yeah. And also I love the premise around being like they have a gag gift store and they're taking the franchise somewhere that it's not been to. I was
Gag City.
Gag City, sorry. So Gag City, and like the little boys, the kids are wearing their Gag City t-shirt. Like the whole family is all about the gag, and that's from the word go.
Yeah, except for like, even it's funny because it's like obviously the daughter tolerates it, but you can tell she still likes it. But then even the mother, who seems to be like whatever sometimes, just really gets into the gags at like other times. I'm just like, this is a family of gag lovers. But yeah, so the premise is we've got a family, 2 boys, a daughter, and the mother and father, and they're moving to somewhere. Well, there was they tell us they're moving to New England.
Middle of New England.
Yeah.
As opposed to the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. Start off with the jokes like straight up, and they're like driving, and I just even at the beginning they've got the little like U-Haul on the back basically, and it's like they're like sunny and like fun music, and then like, and they're also excited about having like their big new house, like everyone's gonna get a room and a bathroom and it's gonna be their own house. It's amazing. And then they get there and of course it's just like this dilapidated fucking haunted house, like picture perfect shit heap.
And I love as they're so like setting the family scene, having this kind of stop at the side of the road, and like the teenage girl that's clearly not like tolerating it but can't be bothered, and so but the dad and the 2 boys wearing their like fake glasses, fake nose kind of thing, and just being stupid. And then you cut from like this silly gaggy family to the scene outside the house that they're moving to that has the realtor's name on it, and it was like sort of devilish type stuff, and then not really haunted.
Wasn't it like Devil May Care Realtor or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. And there's like a devil, and then and then it's got like a little like swinging sign, and it says like in red, like not really haunted.
Yeah, and that sign falls off, and then so they're arriving, and like the house is proper like Addams Family styley, or Psycho styley, except totally following.
And then of course, and they arrive like at nighttime as well, so it's like dark and misty and like perfect. And then obviously like the dad loves the house.
I also love so one of my favorite things about when they arrive is like the dad one by one, sometimes seemingly unnecessarily, lifting each person out of the truck. So I got it when it was these 2 little boys one by one, and then when he picked up the teenage girl, you're kind of like, was that really needed? I think she can get out of the truck. But it was just great because it was that set up to seeing each of their reactions for seeing the house. And what I also love about that was clearly he's just decided and he knew what they were going for. But even the mum is like,
who buys a house without consulting their wife?
I know.
Like, it was just, exactly. And she, and she doesn't seem keen either of the house. And but I just really want to go watch it again. It's just glorious. And then they go in. And it's very dark, and
can't find lights, but again, still, like everyone is like really put out by this, apart from Dad, who's like pushing his way through cobwebs and going, "Oh, this is great!" And they're like, "Maybe we could turn the lights on. What do you think?"
Yeah.
And so then more gags. The torch.
Obviously, the torch is like, "Oh, here's the torch, Dad," and then it's just like it's like a little gaggy torch. And then
you're like, this family.
Which in a country like Australia where snakes really live in torches is not funny.
It's not. I mean, granted, at least it's not like a realistic looking snake. So like you'd only be, the shock would scare you, but then not the thought that the snake is coming to get you. But then of course, they go to find the light. And it turns out to be
there's a lamp. It's not a lamp.
No, even though there's a cord running from it, and then it does seem to control the electricity later on. But then it's at this stage that so here's the lamp. No, it's a skull. We all have a bit of a scream, and then we see our mate Neil Witherspoon, who has just been standing in this house in the dark for however many hours. I don't know.
With these kind of slightly vampiric type, like, so it's the silhouette with a vampiric type collar, and you're just like, yeah, this isn't cool.
And his little hat, he's got his like little hat on. And then my favorite bit, and I watched it again and again, was like, he does turn the light on, but it looks like he puts his thumb in the skull.
In the eye hole.
And just rotates his hand, and then all the lights, it's like a dimmer. Like it's
not intuitive. Like, who came up with that design?
Yeah. Putting your thumb in its eye hole. Because I was just like, what? Yeah. And then
and it controls like all the lights.
Yeah, all the lights in the house just turn
thumb
on.
and skull, all lights.
Yeah, and then it's like, well, which then explains why there's a cord coming out of the skull, I guess, because like you know. And then they're having like just a chat about the house.
Yeah.
This was one of my favorite parts of the movie, was when they're just having a chat with Mr. Witherspoon.
Yeah, who sold them the house, right? But is essentially telling them they should leave it.
Yeah, it's like, I want to welcome you to town and urge you to get out while you still can.
Get out. Yeah. It just
but
yeah, I mean, this guy does everything but wink at the camera. Like, he's just fucking brilliant with his facial expressions.
They went, we need you to play a character, and he's like, got it.
Yeah.
And this was a bit where we rewound back a couple of times, because Dave wasn't looking at the screen at one of my favorite facial expressions, and it's where the teenage daughter is like, all right, well, I've heard enough, I'm leaving. And then the dad says, oh yeah, no, like, he's just messing with you, kind of thing. And then you cut to this dude's face.
Yep.
And I loved it so much, because like, no words, it was just like, I'm not messing. And so yeah, rewind it.
I'll make sure you understand that with my face.
Yeah.
And
such a good face.
You know, and luckily he does come back later. And anyway, so he leaves. Oh yeah, and then there's the thing, and then he just leaves. Like, he literally just like turns, and you see profile, and he just kind of walks out. Like, I just everything about him.
He makes the face, and then he just, like, as though he hadn't made the face, just like strolls out of the room.
Yeah.
And I love it.
And that's it. Oh, so good.
That was a highlight for me, an absolute highlight.
Yeah.
I liked it. I really liked it.
And then we do, that's right, we do some house exploring before we go to bed.
Yeah, so the two little boys are exploring the basement.
Yeah. And
come across a rocking chair that's perfect size for a teddy bear. It's true.
Like, they hear something. They've walked somewhere, and then they hear a thing, and they go like, it's the basement, and they both don't want to go into the basement, and one of them says, should we go check it out? And the other one says okay, when both of their tones of voices are saying no. And then they go downstairs, and then there's exactly it's like a rocking chair on a table or a bench in the basement, perfectly sized for a teddy bear.
It was like, should we go down to the basement? I don't want to. Me either, but it might advance the plot. So
yeah, we have to. It's what the script says. Okay.
Yeah, and so they can hear noises down there, but as they're going to explore, and they're going to sort of try and climb over into someone comes, well, it's the dad comes downstairs and starts calling on them because they should go to bed. Yeah. And our little dude, whose name, I was going to say E.T., that's not right.
Reginald?
E.R.? It's something like this, what is his name? It's like two letters.
There's Ari and what's
Ari, not E.T.
Reginald. He's Reginald Ernest Davis.
But they call him Ari.
R.E.
And I'm like,
I thought it was, when I first heard it, I thought it was like a weird, like, as a child, I heard it as the name like A-R-I or something.
Yeah,
like
that's what I thought it was.
Yeah, but it's just R-E. Yeah.
So Ari
it's a very awkward thing to say. It's like when people say WW2 instead of World War II. It's like, you haven't really saved any time because it's so awkward to get your mouth around.
Ari.
In order to enunciate it so that people understand you're saying Ari, you have to go to an amount of effort.
And that's why I think, like, I just thought his name was Ari.
Also, Reggie.
Yeah, but you're right. We'll call him Ari because I guess that's what they could. But yeah, like that, I thought it was an actual first name because I didn't understand at any stage that it was two letters.
Yeah. And as I say, all I could remember was the two letters, but not E.T.
Not E.T. They would have called him Et. Yeah.
So they're going to go to bed, but he looks around and the fuzzy teddy bear is not there.
And
the rocking chair
it's moving.
But the teddy's gone, and they're like, no, don't be stupid. And he's like, no, my teddy bear's gone.
And then he's like, Reginald Ernest something, and goes upstairs.
Davis.
And then that's right. And then you cut back to the rocking chair, and not only is it still rocking, it's rocking real aggressively.
It is rocking like assertively.
Yeah.
Very assertively, yeah. And in that time has the daughter gone?
She's exploring upstairs. So she's around the bedrooms or whatever, and of course there's don't go into the bedroom that's glowing around the doorway, right?
There's a lot of glowing rooms that people just walk into without being, I think, cautious enough.
And I think the first time it's glowing blue, is that right? So
yeah, it is glowing blue, because it turns out that the ghosts who might live here all have a different glow color.
Yes,
and
which is really helpful when you know whether or not you should maybe like be going in rooms. But so she sees the glow, but there's nothing there. No,
she opens. That's right. She hears a sneezing, and then she calls out to Ari. And what's the other boy's name? Now I'm confused.
Jeff, Steve.
They both have short. Orwin, Ari and Orwin. Okay.
Corwin.
C-O-R-W-I-N. They're both awkward to say.
They're both fucked names. So she calls out to the brothers because she thinks one of them is sneezing.
Yeah, the dad is Carlton. The mum is Eloise.
Yeah.
It's just an enunciation nightmare.
Carlton, Eloise, Ari, Corbin, and Jennifer.
Jennifer.
Why is Jennifer so normal?
Why ever not?
It is a good question. But yeah, so she's also like a bit older than the other two as well, right? So maybe they had the normal child called Jennifer and they went, we want a more.
Then started taking drugs.
Yeah. Like, and also, or maybe I was going to say maybe she was just underwhelmed and they're like, okay, we need to try this again. Let's give it an interesting name to start off with and see if we make a more interesting child. Corwin, yeah. Anyway, so sees the glowing, hears the sneezing, calls out to the brothers, sees the glowing room, opens the glowing room, it's no longer glowing, and then we all go to bed. And then it's fine.
And everything's fine. Everything's totally fine.
Not and then next morning.
Oh, breakfast.
Excellent fried egg, fake plastic fried egg gag that also sprays water at you. Just
Brilliant.
Like it's layers of layers. Oh.
And little Ari is sitting at the table with those creaky eye glasses.
Yeah,
and then he shoots him with a gun that says bang, and then they're all laughing. He's like, you didn't really shoot him. That's funny.
Here's the thing about weapons. Hilarious. Here's the thing about shooting weapons at your family members. Like diabolically funny.
Famously funny.
And I think we're still getting the vibe from the teenage daughter that she does not want to be in this house. And why are we in this
she heard the thing last night. She didn't sleep really well. The brothers aren't helping because, of course, like she was presented with breakfast and it's like a fake egg. And then, like it turns out that then the dad makes the fake egg spray water at the other kid's face. They're all ha, 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 ha. And then we're talking about this haunting. There's no such thing as ghosts, no haunting. Then the dad is fucking rigged up the toaster with a string to move the toaster.
That was a really good moment. I enjoyed that.
Of all appliances, though, the toaster, the hottest one. Like
it's a bit dangerous.
It's a bit dangerous.
Dangerous appliance. I mean, well, I guess
it's got with a kettle. That wouldn't be.
Apparently, some Americans don't have kettles.
Oh yeah,
it's a real thing where like they boil water. I'm getting really excited. They boil water in like a saucepan or the fucking microwave, and apparently, like a kettle doesn't exist in some places in America. So maybe this is one of those kettle-free zones. And
it will be, yeah. But I mean, a kettle would be worse. But I mean, high up the list would be toaster, something that heats up.
And then what else is a light appliance that a ghost may interfere with?
You're right, of course. Yeah,
that would be a given that you'd go to at breakfast.
Yeah.
But so
I agree that it has to be a toaster. It's the least of all evils in this situation.
Yeah, I think you're right. And so so it turns out that it's that no one's really helping alleviate anyone's concerns about the haunted house. And so to the point that the dad has already pre-rigged up the toaster to play a joke. Like, so that means that whole time, technically, he had a piece of string tied to his finger and he just wasn't moving that hand for, like, how long were they there before she came down for breakfast? Maybe he just had like a slip knot and he put it on really quickly. So it was
he seems like the guy that was always doing that, because even when he meets the realtor before, he's got one of those
he's got the buzzers. Yeah.
So it's just, I can believe that this guy is gagged up and ready to go at all points.
Just at all times, yeah.
But then is that when we get the scary kitchen scene? So like no one has believed the teenager that stuff's going on, but then the little boys experience it. Is it at that point?
Yeah, because I think so, because I think we go to that and then they're playing and then they like run back into, and I like playing with like toy guns or something. They run back into the kitchen and then basically the toaster moves. And they're just like, and then they go and actually check for a wire. And I believe they report back that there is no wire.
Yeah.
And,
so that must have been actually after so they've got another night there, and the girl actually sees Mr. Boogedy. Yeah, because that's after that, because she's got the night where she sees the door again, and it's green around the door, not blue, but she goes in, and then she has a wee faint, freaks out, but no one else has seen anything, and the family all crowd around her. Their little brothers are making fun of her, and she's like, no, I saw him, I saw Mr. Boogedy.
Yeah, that's
right.
Heard
the horrible laughter, all that kind of stuff. And she said he had a bit of a pizza face?
Hamburger face?
Hamburger face?
Yeah, one thing she
described
his face as being gross, like a grilled cheese sandwich.
That's what it was.
Like, it's like, she is I don't say she's the worst character, but her descriptions of things, like, she's the one who fucking sees Mr. Boogedy. And I mean, I guess maybe her experience is just grilled cheese sandwiches. Like, she doesn't have enough life experience to like compare it to something else. But I just like, everything she says is a bit stupid. Like, the whole movie is a bit stupid, but everything she says is particularly.
It's definitely the straightest performance. Like, it's not there's some quite comic performances, and hers is definitely one of the straighter ones, I think.
But what I enjoyed too is, like, in all of that terror, see if I saw a face that was really terrifying, I don't know if I would have gone to grilled cheese to describe it as scary.
Maybe she's really bad at making grilled cheese sandwiches.
Maybe she's lactose intolerant.
Maybe she's lactose intolerant, in which case there would be an association.
Yeah.
And so you're right, that does that.
So she'd been made fun of.
Nothing happens that day. Then it's just the night again.
And then the boys make fun of her, and then that's why the little boys end up like believing her, because
when they see the
kitchen and all this stuff happens. And you're right, the toaster is dangerous. When it's a scary toaster, it's dangerous because it's hot, but there's no wires, and it's moving around, and they can hear some laughter.
Yeah, that's right. Like, it turns on, and they're just like, oh, and they So
they get the vibe that their parents aren't really gonna
do
anything. So
it's up to them.
Yeah, so we see them like action shot.
As this often happens in children's movies, right? It's up to the children to solve the significant problem that is not their responsibility. Yeah,
they're all Nancy Drew in our ass.
Yeah.
So
to the Historical Society.
Of
That's
course.
right.
Which is my other favorite part of this film is
conveniently. Yeah, I was gonna say conveniently run by our mate Neil Witherspoon.
Yeah, because again, what I love about this film too is it's like we've got the van that is their moving van. They've got the house. They've got a tiny shot of the street, and then they have this little historical society shop. And they go in, and our man's there, and he's wearing like an old military uniformy jacket. So again, still like dressed up. But was he dozing or something?
He was asleep when they first come in. Yeah.
I was like, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? And
then he picks up a paper or something, and he goes, and he like looks at it, and then he goes, I work here. It's like, it's almost like he's like verifying with whatever is near him that this is his place of employment.
I mean, surely when you go anywhere, you have notes about what you're doing there before you have a nap. I mean, is that not the norm? Like, when you wake up, this is what you should be doing.
Otherwise, how do you know? I mean, what is reality? I mean, you could just be waking up if you just woke up and everything was circumstantially one way, how do you know that you've actually been there? Yeah. How do you know that your memories are real?
Oh, well, I mean, now that you've said that, Dave, I don't. Shit.
Recording, stop.
So this scene's great just because, again, I think strong performance from our man.
Highlight
the movie.
Also, what I love so much about this, Sophie, is so he's helping them. They want to know a bit more about the house, why it's haunted, why he told them to get out of the place, what this Mr. Boogedy is. And what I love so much is he tells them the story of it with a pop-up book. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. I want a pop-up book of like my village and what happened. Like I want that in my life. Yeah. I want history to be told with pop-up books because I think I'll pay more attention because it was great.
There's just something that's beautiful about a pop-up book anyway, but then beautiful about like a reenacted pop-up book where you zoom into the pop-up book and it's being acted out for you, like with pop-up scenery.
Because I thought when they were so they opened the page to like, to the pilgrims and what was going on, but like I thought it was going to be you zoom in and we're suddenly like, it's going to be animation or something. Like I thought that was where the film was going to go, like childhood film, but no, it's like, it's actors reenacting what we're being shown in the pop-up book. So how does it work out? So we've got pilgrims.
Pilgrims.
Yeah. Pilgrims, but there's a nasty
and they like
pilgrim.
to have a laugh.
And so they've got like a clown.
There's a crusty juggler pilgrim.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But there's a dude that just doesn't like a laugh.
Yeah, there's like one bad pilgrim who just ruins it for everyone else.
Only one.
Just one.
I can imagine how annoyed he would be then suddenly being surrounded by a gag family if he doesn't really like.
Yeah, I've never actually thought about it. It's true. Like, so of all the people to move into the house, these are literally like his actual fucking nightmare.
So he's kind of a bit of an outcast, and they make fun of him, and the kids sing a song about, so they all call him Mr. Boogedy because he kind of becomes a bit of a parody of himself.
He does. So there's one bit where the kids, like, they're singing, they're around a tree singing a song, like doing that thing, Ring Around the Rosie, whatever. And then the way that he tells them to disperse is that he just comes up at them and goes, boogedy, 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 boo. Like, that's his way to disperse children. So he's really,
you know what? Like, I mean, see if a grumpy, angry man I didn't really like in my neighborhood came up and was yelling crap like that at me, I would be scared.
Yeah, like, absolutely.
He leave, but he's not even like, you kids, stop singing near my house. He's just like, well,
kids with your music.
Yeah, he's just like, he's really created this like Mr. Boogedy persona for himself. Like, you know, so I think part of it is like people being unkind and he didn't really fit in, but he did sort of perpetuate some of this. You know,
yeah. So it's like, well, if no one's going to like me, then I'm just going to be a big scary man. Until our nice woman comes on the scene.
So the Widow Marion.
Widow Marion.
He quite fancies the Widow Marion.
Yep.
Who has a son,
Jonathan,
who's got a cold.
He gets a cold, but he doesn't have a cold immediately.
Well, I don't know.
That's
pretty big character trait.
It is a character trait.
He seems very weak. Everything,
It wasn't his first cold.
But yeah, so he.
But why did I miss? Like, why was she nice to Mr. Boogedy?
I think she's just nice to everyone. I think she's
because he trieth.
He trieth.
He trieth.
Oh yeah, there was a lot of ifs.
That bit I forgot. I feel like that was the only bit. If there's anything that made me cringe ever so slightly in this movie, it was the number of trieths and ifs at the end of words that we know. Because
that's how olden people speak.
You oldie times.
But I think the problem was, Karen, is that so Widow Marion was just nice. She just believed, like, you know, kindness is cool. Be nice to everyone.
Be cool.
He fancies her a bit. She's not really buying. So he does
that annoys me, right? Like, it's that thing of like, just because a woman is being nice to you does not mean she wants to be with you.
And if she doesn't, you don't have to go make a pact with the devil.
No. Respect her wishes.
The first place he goes is the satanic pact.
Yeah. So he asked her to marry him. She's like, nah, thanks, mate. Like, I mean, you're fine, but no, me and wee Jonathan, we're grand. Don't need this. So he goes to the devil because, you know, if someone's not going to marry you, you have to make them marry you.
Yeah.
So he goes straight for the satanic pact, but it doesn't even go straight for the satanic pact to get the girl. It's satanic pact to get the magic cloak to get the girl.
Oh, so I love this too because it's
magic
very roundabout.
It's going to like an evil costume shop, essentially. Like, it was like an evil clothes shop.
Where the devil is actually dressed up in his own evil costume.
Yes!
Not a great costume.
In a dual display of sartorial wickedness. So we've got the devil. I actually love the devil because the devil is like the archetypal, if you ask a kid to draw the devil.
Yeah. He goes, this is devil, man. He's red, horns, he's angry.
Yes. It's like,
it's more like, malevolent.
You ask a kid to draw a car, they'll draw like a Toyota Camry. And if you ask them to draw the devil, they will draw this devil.
For sure.
And I don't think the devil speaks, right? He's just evil and gives things.
Oh, he's just having a great time.
Yeah, he smiles a lot. He's like,
joyous with evil, I think, is what happens. And then he gives Mr. Boogedy this fucking sparkly cloak.
Yeah, magic cloak.
But tragedy strikes.
Well, yeah, so this is where I feel like
the story doesn't really explain.
So this cloak can make you invisible with something.
It makes you powerful, Karen. I think what it comes down to is it just makes you fucking powerful.
So this is where I feel like I blinked and I missed it, because this cloak, all I got from it watching it was it made you invisible and then the house exploded. that's where what did I miss?
So what happens is there's one day that Jonathan is fucking sick because it's like a little sneezy shithead. And basically Marion goes to take him to the doctor, intercepted by Mr. Boogedy with magic cloak, who's like, no, you really fucking have to marry me. And she's like, no. And I think, and then somehow to some stage the house explodes.
He blows up his own house.
Yeah. So all three.
So they're all basically, the whole idea is it's like, well, basically it's like, if you're like, you've rejected me, I feel bad, I'm taking you down with me. So what I'm going to do is use my evil magic cloak in a way that I'm not going to disclose and is not clear to somehow curse us all by I'm going to explode the house and we're all going to have to haunt the grounds. And every house that is built in the future, you'll be ghosts in it.
Again, not really understanding, but I thought maybe the house explosion was an accident because the devil hadn't clearly explained how to use his powers. So he was like, I'm going to try and make her marry me, but accidentally I just went boom. That's what I got from this.
I just took it as Mr. Boogedy.
Marriage explosion.
I mean, that explains his lack of care when using quite dangerous kitchen appliances as well.
I mean, that's just understand. That is true.
Again, Dave, he's from the oldie times, so why would he understand a toaster?
That's true.
I don't know. Why did he blow up his house?
Yeah, foolish.
So Maid Marian and Jonathan would have to live with him forever in ghost form, guys. It is very straightforward.
Sorry.
That does make sense.
Yes.
Yeah. And so then basically, we get to the point where like we're exiting the pop-up world and we're told that, every house that has now been built on that site, like it's haunted. And it's like haunted with Mr. Boogedy and like the ghosts of like the widow Marian and like Jonathan. And like that's possibly what they've been interacting with. Because it turns out the sneezing blue ghost is Jonathan, and then the pink aurid ghost is Maid Marian, and then the green. Because what we didn't.
But we've not met the pink ghost yet.
We haven't met the pink ghost, but what we also forgot to talk about was when Jennifer saw Mr. Boogedy with the green footprints on the wall.
I can't believe we missed that. That was also another great bit about it because again, it was like the dad clearly not taking things seriously because he was just so excited as another potential gag gift that he could get. So like there's the bit where Mr. Boogedy's footprints go up the wall and they're green, and then he can peel them off and then stick them to himself. So it's like Mr. Boogedy's been all over me.
This non-physical object has created a physical footprint. One, we don't ever see him walking on the wall. Like he appears and disappears like in a normal human orientation, right? At no stage are we like rotating him. But apparently he walked up the wall.
But he's got a magic cloak that he may or may not have read the instructions for.
That's true. Yeah, no, you're right. But then, maybe he did like that was like an artifact of that because then he leaves these like gooey looking footprints just up the wall, nowhere else. But then it turns out you can peel them off and then just stick them to yourself like the little squishy things. It just
seemed odd.
It was a bit strange.
I kind of like that though because I think still it was sort of making you feel maybe the gag family are just gagging on one another. Maybe
they are just
nothing to do with
they hate.
So we can add gaslighting to the list of Mr. Boogedy's crimes.
It's that. And so they go home. They tell the parents. Here's the fucking thing.
The parents are a riot. The parents are an absolute riot. They don't want to
inventory.
They're doing inventory, but actually their inventory is just we're going to gag crap at our kids.
Out of these kids who are clearly distressed and want to talk about something.
So Sophie, as someone I'm not really a gag kind of person, and I was just like, Dave, they're just really annoying, particularly the dad, but they're really annoying me. But you found it quite amusing.
I've enjoyed this whole sequence very much.
Yeah. Because then they were like, and they had an accident and he trips up. So there's like crap all over the carpet, which stressed me out because he'd made a mess. Yeah. And then they were like, we're going to hoover this up. Can you bring the vacuum over? And it's a gag vacuum.
Yeah.
And
shoots like ping pong balls. But you're right. And there's that bit where he's shooting them with the ping pong balls and then he just does it for too long. So it's
slightly too long. It's very funny.
But that is really good because the kids... None of those three kids smiled at all. And I'm like, that's brilliant. Not a single, because sometimes we watch you watch a film with a kid in it and there's like a bit where there's like a sneaky grin or something like, it's really hard to get people like small children to be deadpan, but all three of them are like, this is not funny.
You imagine the bloopers for this movie? I would pay so much money to find a blooper reel of this, because like you're right, that'd be so hard, because it was like you've got these two parents laughing maniacally as they're shooting ping pong balls out of a gag.
The mum's laugh as well. The mum's laugh is brilliant. It's just ridiculous. And so also, you know, throughout the film, I'd said to Dave, I'm like, I don't really see those two together, because she seemed like she wasn't so invested in the gags. Yeah. But then in this scene, she was totally with it. Absolutely, this is brilliant. Let's make fun of the kids. This is hilarious.
Because there's like the mummy, there's like the giant, like the gorilla hands. No, what were that? With a giant. There's like a series of like, look at all these like fun gag things, and then the kids are just like, we have to talk to you about Mr. Boogedy, and they're just not giving a shit. It's
having none of it. Also, of all the things, a gag vacuum cleaner, like, can you imagine buying it and like you get one gag out of it, and then you've got to like store something vacuum sized forever just for that?
It's not
those
practical.
Few situations
I don't
where a
see
gag vacuum.
That family would mind. And also maybe, I mean, they bought quite a big house.
Maybe
like multiple gag things.
Is it before or after then? Also, like the vacuum cleaner is like a Jack in the Box.
It's before,
so the same time,
because she's asked to turn it on.
Yeah, that's right. And it pops up, scares them, and then shooting them with the balls. And anyway, so there's the decision is made that we're all going to sleep downstairs.
Yeah, so Mr. Boogedy does appear and does mess with them all. So like ultimately the mummy starts dancing of its own accord. Right. That's quite effective. I quite enjoy that. The hands are kind of that. So the parents, but Mr. Boogedy doesn't appear. He's just messing with their gags.
Yeah, that's right.
But the parents kind of go, oh yeah, this isn't ideal.
That's actually weird. Yeah.
And then they're like, maybe we should leave. Oh no, we shouldn't leave. Let's just all pretend we're at a campfire and sleep together on sleeping bags in the living room. That's fine. Totally fine. And it genuinely was, apart from like the dad in their haunted house. They're like, tell me a story. So he decides to try and tell them a ghost story in their haunted house.
Yeah.
Read the room.
And that's right. And then the daughter doesn't like it. And then like one of the sons puts the big hand on, and then like puts the big gorilla hand around the side, and then taps her on the shoulder. And so, you know, like we're not respecting people's fear.
No. And you're not really getting that big sense of fear here. Like, you know, people that were terrified by a dancing mummy are suddenly like, yeah, this is fine. But they all manage to go to sleep. And what I love when the wake up scene is, well, what I don't like, I feel like they missed a trick, because I was keeping waiting for the, you know, like someone's hand on someone's body, someone's hand on someone's body. So like until we get to the point where the mum is awake. And I just kept thinking that maybe she would be hugging something, and you get to the end and it was actually like the ghost child or Mr. Boogedy or something. That was what I was waiting for, you know, when she's getting to that waking up in the middle of the night. But no, she just wakes up. And
that's like the biggest midnight snack
I've
ever seen. And I feel like that for some reason is burned into my memory. Because I remember watching that, and like even as a child going like, what are all these things that you have? Like, what are you fucking like? This is madness. Like, who eats food at that time?
I was trying to work out what time it was. I'm like, is she getting a midnight snack? And then she brought out so much food. I'm like, no, she's prepping breakfast for everyone.
Yeah,
no, she's just having a snack. And she just really wants to open that cheese slice. Really wants to open that cheese slice. And then there's something keeping knocking on her door. And she's like, nah, there's nothing there. Cheese slice. Can't get in this bloody cheese slice.
Yeah.
And it's like, I suppose I should go and answer this like creepy knocking on the door.
And then that's when we get our glowing pink Maid Marian.
Yeah, Widow Marian.
Lovely Marian. She's not a scary ghost.
She's not. And as I said, she's very, she's like, there was one period of time in the end of primary school when I had a friend, and I went to her house in the holidays, and she used to watch Days of Our Lives with her mother. And so I did it a few times. And then I actually ended up watching like Days of Our Lives easily for maybe like a 6-month period as an 11-year-old. It was very strange, but she was in like that, but she just, you know, that would have been years later. But you know, it turns out Mr. Boogedy's exploding the house and like cursing everyone. Maid Marian actually can't enter the house while Mr. Boogedy is there, and Jonathan is ghost in the house, and also like he's sick and he needs his ghost medicine and he needs his ghost mummy. And like, so basically, like we now have a solution to this problem though, via the mother who's talked to Maid Marian, the widow Marian. What we need to do is we need to banish Mr. Boogedy from the house, and the key is his magical cloak.
Yeah.
Because Marian hasn't seen her son for 300 years.
300 years. She's very, look, I don't want to describe her as whingy because that seems disrespectful, but she's got a bit of a whinge to her ghost voice that
she didn't, for example, ask Eloise how she was doing.
No.
It was just me.
Whinge,
300 years, 300 years.
300 years. Like that kind of.
And like, the mum was being lovely because she's like, oh, just come hang out. You seem nice ghost, come in. Oh no, I can't come in. Like, but she tried. Like, the mum was being incredibly courteous to this ghost.
Yeah, pink rotoscoped ghost.
Yeah. So but yes, then there's the conclusion. Mother goes back. Everyone's awake. Like, here's the deal. We've got to get rid of Mr. Boogedy so the widow Marian can be reunited with Jonathan. Got to get that fucking cloak. And then we get to a point where they actively decide to go upstairs to get him, right? And then we get split up into the two groups.
Yeah, the two boys end up going back downstairs again.
Yeah, because I think Ari like hears something, basically bails. Then Corwin at some point realizes he's not behind him, and then goes back, and then it's just the parents and and Jennifer upstairs looking for Mr. Boogedy, assuming that everyone else is coming, and they're not.
So they don't find anything upstairs, do they? But Ari and Corwin. Oh yeah, so Corwin goes to find Ari, and there's a bit of a kerfuffle.
That's right. So what happened? Yeah, you're right. It's not. Yeah. So what Ari hears is some fucking sneezing ghost with his fucking teddy bear. Is what happens.
That's right.
That's right. So he goes to fight the sick ghost boy to get his teddy bear back, and Corwin, follows, and then and we have like a little bit of a conversation about.
And it's just, but it's lovely again. These young boys are very nice because the ghost boy's like, I'm just really lonely. So he's like, he just took the teddy bear because he wanted a friend. He's just lonely. And so they were like, we'll be your friends. Yeah. We can be your friends. You seem nice. And so, young Ari, I think, does he not let him have his teddy bear?
But then specifies not for keeps, but like, I'm trying to be a good person here and you can hold the teddy bear. And then though, we hear Mr. Boogedy basically comes back. And then
because Jonathan's like, oh, he's coming, run away.
Yeah.
So they run upstairs and the two kids are like, oh, he's coming.
Yeah.
He's here.
Because I feel like because there's one bit so when they're up, the three of them are upstairs and they're looking for stuff, and there's one bit where they all react to something, because at one stage, like, the sister then, after she reacts, like, basically goes like that for the boys to follow, but they don't realize that they're not there. They see there's definitely something upstairs. There's no Mr. Boogedy, but I feel like they react to something at some point.
They're gonna talk. They knock on the door and they say, we're coming in, we just want to talk.
Yeah.
And the girl says, oh, Dad's gonna negotiate with a ghost. I can't wait to see this. And then she shakes. She's got like hairspray or insect repellent or something, and she shakes it.
Yeah, they're holding some very interesting weapons.
They've got weird weapons. Anyway, maybe not. But yes,
he's got the biggest fly swat I've ever seen.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Yeah.
Almost like a novelty-sized fly swat.
It is. It's like a pterodactyl. It's like a raven swat.
But if anyone was going to have a novelty-sized fly swatter, it's going to be someone that's running a gag gift shop.
Yeah.
I bet he's got some massive novelty flies dotting about too.
That is true.
You're right. Absolutely right.
No, you're right. They're probably like remote controlled as well, I reckon.
Again, living in a country where the massive insects are not novelties, but very real threats to your well-being. It's not particularly funny.
I want one of those swatters. Would that be big enough for a huntsman?
I don't know. I feel like a huntsman would take it off you.
Oh, I think it might. Let's move on.
And then we get its friends. I think, but just you got to think about. Anyway, but so
the family's reunited.
Yes.
And Mr. Boogedy shows up.
Yeah, shit starts going down. I love the bit where all their hair goes into the air.
Yes.
Yeah, great.
And we get to see Boogedy's grilled cheese face. I thought, kind of
hamburger face, yeah.
Oh, like, I mean, child-friendly version of Freddy Krueger was what I went with there.
And this is the thing. So this bit, as a child, did genuine. Like I remember, because as I said, I remember watching this from quite a young age, again and again. And like the bit where Mr. Boogedy comes in, like it did scare me to the point that like what I would do is I would put a pillow in front of my face, and then Seb would tell me when I could, like, the scary bits over. And it was like, as at the beginning when he first appears and he's a bit cackly and stuff, I feel like that bit really freaked me out as a child. But then I got to the point where I could work the pillow without being told because I knew the soundtrack. And then I got to the point where I could just watch the child Freddy Krueger without the pillow. So I really developed.
And surely
it sounds like you did. Sounds like you really got somewhere.
Yeah.
You've grown.
I mean, I can totally imagine Sophie, like that face I wouldn't have been able to deal with as a child. Like, nah. And he was yelling boogedy, boogedy, boogedy.
There was a lot of boogedy, and there was a lot of yellow electricity, green, yellow electricity.
Sparking electricity at everyone. So it wasn't going to be as easy to deal with Mr. Boogedy as they perhaps.
Yeah, it turned out not trivial. Yeah,
and also clearly not someone that was up for negotiation.
Yeah, he
was just up for yelling boogedy, and
he didn't say much else. And then we hit this issue where I believe it's Corwin has something he's got from near the fire.
Yeah, it's like a shovel, like a one of those shovels for shoveling
coal.
Yeah, coal or
bits
of firewood, embers.
And then basically Mr. Boogedy makes the end of that inflate to the point that it is so buoyant that Corwin, the life-sized child, can float into the air by holding this tiny. I'm just saying from a physics point of view. Yeah. Like there's got to be some crazy fucking magic to make that happen, because that just seems
seriously like gas. Yeah. Absolutely.
Why, as it was starting to rise, did he not let go?
Well, they actually clarify that because as the dad goes to get the step ladder, he says, "My hands are stuck."
Oh, okay, I missed
that.
So
they do address that in universe.
Okay, that's good. Yeah. And then I enjoy that the dad goes to get ladders to try and get him down, but he gets stuck going up the ladders.
Yeah.
He's also stuck in this, again, presumably caused by Boogedy. So we've got those two stuck, and the mum and the sister, are they still like shocked or?
I think so. They're not doing anything, are they?
They're not, but have they been incapacitated or are they just useless?
They're just hiding behind the boxes.
They might just be hiding. Because, women.
Women, remember, look, I think you might be right, but it's just a bit disappointing, especially on the mother's part. I feel like she had some balls up until then. God, the screen, the little still of his face is quite revolting.
Yeah.
Corwin tries to attack him, which we've established doesn't work. It's got Boogedy likewise uses magic to disable Carlton, Jennifer, and Eloise. So I think
but for some reason he's forgotten about the littlest family member
who attacks him with the vacuum.
Yep, the gag vacuum.
But it's turned on himself, and it starts sucking up everything he.
That's right.
Presents to it. So he's now being chased by this vacuum cleaner, which is sucking up everything in its path. So he quite cunningly, or perhaps by accident, runs straight for Mr. Boogedy.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, this is why you have a gag vacuum cleaner lying around. Just saying, because in fact, the gag vacuum cleaner starts to suck up the magical cloak.
Yeah,
sure does. Mr. Boogedy freaking out, doesn't try to... Just like, he's not trying to get it back. He's not really actively trying to save himself, is what I'm saying.
No, he doesn't.
Out.
He doesn't seem very invested in his own survival at this point.
No.
He also doesn't seem, if the magic cloak makes you powerful, but doesn't make you more powerful than a vacuum cleaner, is that doesn't seem like blow up your house magnitude.
In his defense, it's a Pilgrim era magical cloak.
Yeah. And
vacuum is technology.
It's also a gag vacuum cleaner. So we just don't know much about how good this is.
No, you're right, Karen.
We don't know this.
Like maybe the force of gag is stronger than the force of the devil. Like we don't actually know.
The force of gag is strong within.
Yeah. It's a different film. Okay, so, but anyway, he's disrobed by the vacuum cleaner is what happens.
He is disrobed by the vacuum cleaner.
And
yeah.
Vanishes.
Just fucking pops.
He's not happy about it, but he vanishes.
No. Yeah, that's right. And then
Jonathan and the widow Marion.
Yeah,
that's right.
Can come, widow Marion can come back in, and they're reunited.
Widow Marion's like, cheers.
Yeah, and then they kind of disappear.
Yeah.
And then that's it.
And then they go to bed. But the vacuum cleaner winks at Dad before they go to bed.
Yeah, sure does.
And
again, that's none of our business.
It's none of our business, and whatever the relationship implied there is.
We don't know much about this vacuum cleaner. We really don't. But like,
it seems more
great
like
at sucking.
It's great at sucking. It seems to be part of the family.
Gagful.
I feel like this vacuum cleaner could have its own spin-off.
But yeah, good American kids movie, happy ending.
Happy ending, very, very up. Yeah.
And look, it was really nice because the family, like, I mean, they were kind of annoying, but they all like clearly liked each other. It was nice. They were pals.
Functioned well. Good ensemble. Cast.
So just because I got the Wikipedia page up just to check that last little bit, we did miss the bit. So the house is supposedly no longer haunted, but the Davises hear Boogedy's voice grimly intoning. Is that how you say that word?
Yeah.
Want to bet, leaving the possibility of his return open.
Oh yeah.
I didn't realize it was Boogedy. I thought maybe it was just.
I figured it was
another ghost.
I always thought it was kind of like Boogedy acting through the cloak.
Oh, okay. But they take the cloak out.
One
of the kids retrieves the cloak and says Boogedy and chucks it, and it vanishes.
It vanishes. You're right. So it's just like, so maybe Boogedy he's imprinted himself on the house in a way that's
still very confused about this relationship between the cloak and the devil and Boogedy and the vacuum cleaner.
I like to think that Boogedy was in the vacuum cleaner forevermore.
I feel like you've got all these artifacts of comparable power, and we don't know which is which. It's like the Lord of the Rings, where you've got like the ring, which is like the big thing, and then you've got like the glass eye things, which are kind of powerful, but we don't know how powerful. And I feel like there's something, there's some kind of hierarchy of power that we're not privy to.
The Mr. Boogedy universe is definitely just like
I bet
Lord
there's
of the
a forum.
Rings.
I bet there's a forum where this discussion is happening right now.
And Sophie started it.
Forum.
I bet someone's written a PhD thesis about it.
Oh, wouldn't that be? I would read that. I'd read an entire PhD if it was about Mr. Boogedy. Because I think the issue that I had with this movie, as in they're not bad issues, the issue I had procuring it as an adult is that like no one had died, no one had like VCRs anymore. I had no access to this movie. At one stage several years ago, I managed to download a version and it was just trash. It was like someone had like 80s like video cameraed it off an 80s TV. That's the vibe that it got. And so then when like with the advent of Disney Plus and my parents paying for Disney Plus for my niece and nephew and me having a little look when I was back in Adelaide, what's on Disney Plus, to the point that I was like, I'm going to need that login. All the Mighty Ducks movies, guys. It's great. But then Mr. Boogedy in streaming quality. It was just magnificent. And then there is a sequel that I have seen once. And it is the worst thing imaginable in history, and I've removed it from my mind, and I have no intention of ever watching it again. I can't remember what happened in it. I just remember hating it and going like, no.
Bride of Boogedy.
That's right, Bride of Boogedy.
Don't watch it, listeners.
Don't. But well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, because I still think, like, as much as a lot of past Sophie's loves fall down, I think this one got stronger.
No, I enjoyed it, and I really. As I say, I really liked the realtor / historical part. Like, he's just was great.
Tremendous.
Really, really good.
Great work.
I think everyone had a lot of fun making this.
Yeah, it looked like they were all having fun. And it also, I think being a kid's film, you can be quite hammy and silly. And also like, we didn't explain stuff. Sometimes like we watch horror films and they try and over explain.
Yeah.
There's a lot in this that I don't understand.
Like we're saying about the artifacts and their power, you're just immersed in the universe and just left to figure it out for yourself and kind of muddle your way through. You get exactly enough information to understand the story and no more. And I respect that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was
10 out of 10. Maybe 11 out of 10. Hard to say.
Good job.
Great choice.
So next week is Dave's choice. So what are we watching next week, Dave?
I think we have to watch the Wizard of Oz next week, because I remember hiding behind the couch quite a lot when the Wizard of Oz was on. When I was young, like when I was like 3, 4, 5, this movie scared me quite a lot. Yeah, obviously, I found it very buoyant and uplifting at times as well, but it scared me.
Look, I'm really pleased about this because I like the Wizard of Oz so much that whenever Mum used to plait my hair, and we had a code word for plaits. It was like, can I have Dorothy Gales today? Because it was Dorothy Gale.
Lovely.
And then we had all the little figurines, the Wizard of Oz, and then when they did like the big DVD restoration like anniversary release, when I think only had a part-time job, I saved up my money and I bought the limited edition. Don't know where it is. I presume it's still in my parents' house. But yeah, big fan. Very excited. Haven't watched it for at least I'd say at least several years, if not more. So
I haven't seen it. I'm pretty sure the last time I would have seen it it's one of those movies that gets chucked on British TV at Christmas time.
Yeah.
And it'll just be on TV, so it'll be on in the background. But I haven't sat down to watch it. Like, let's watch The Wizard of Oz since I was a kid, for sure.
I reckon I was an adult, but it would have been like a long time ago adult. So I'm real pumped.
Great. Well, that's next week then. Cool. Thanks, team.
Thanks.